Ever tried to squeeze a cheap, generic generator into a real emergency and ended up staring at a sputtering engine while the lights stay off? That feeling of buyer's regret that you thought you were saving money, but the unit can't actually power the things you need has me skeptical of any budget backup plan. When the power goes out, you don't want to be guessing whether that low-cost unit will actually start a fridge, a sump pump, or at least a few essential outlets. That hesitation is exactly why I dug into the Westinghouse 12500 Peak Watt EFI Tri-Fuel Home Backup Portable Generator before hitting record. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. First off, the thing that sets this generator apart is the tri-fuel flexibility. You can run it on gasoline, propane, or natural gas, which means you aren't locked into a single fuel source. In practice, that translates into real peace of mind if you have a propane tank that lasts longer than a gasoline can, or if your home is already hooked up to natural gas. For a family that lives in an area with frequent storms, being able to switch fuels without swapping tanks is a genuine convenience. On the other hand, the engine still follows the same internal combustion principles, so you still need to keep fuel fresh and rotate it every few months. Nothing new there, but the option to choose the cheapest or most readily available fuel each season adds genuine value. The remote electric start is another feature the marketing team loves to shout about, but let's see what it really means at the kitchen table. When the lights flicker, you pull the remote, press a button, and the engine fires up without you having to climb onto the heavy unit and yank a pull starter cord. In my own test, the start was smooth and took about 2 seconds from button press to engine running, which is a huge relief if you're juggling a baby or trying to keep the thermostat from dropping. However, the remote does rely on a small battery. If you let it sit unused for a long time, that battery could die, so you still need to check it periodically, something easy to overlook. Now, let's talk about the power output. The 12500 peak watt rating sounds impressive, but a lot of people misunderstand how that translates into everyday use. Peak wattage is the short burst capability you get for things like starting a refrigerator compressor, while the continuous rating around 10,000 watts is the real workhorse. In a real-world scenario, you can comfortably run a fridge, a few lights, a TV, and a couple of phone chargers simultaneously. If you tried to add a space heater or a hydro air conditioner, you'd quickly hit the limit and the generator would start to struggle. The takeaway? It's perfect for a modest home setup, but not a full house backup solution for a large HVAC system. One practical strength that really shows up during extended outages is the built-in transfer switch compatibility. The generator is pre-wired for an automatic transfer switch, meaning you can wire it to your home's electrical panel once and then let the switch handle the load automatically when the power fails. For a homeowner who isn't comfortable constantly plugging and unplugging devices, this can be a lifesaver. The downside is that installing a transfer switch is an electrical job. Most buyers will need a licensed electrician, which adds a few $100s to the overall cost. If you're comfortable with DIY electrical work, you might be able to set something up yourself, but otherwise factor that installation expense into your budget. Durability is another point that gets mentioned a lot, and it's not just a vague claim. Westinghouse uses a cast-iron engine block and a steel frame that can withstand the typical bumps of a portable unit being moved around a job site or a campsite. In the field, I ran the generator for a full 12-hour test stretch on propane. The unit held temperature well, and there were no unusual vibrations or noises. The engine also includes a safety shutoff that kicks in if the oil pressure drops, which is a sensible safeguard you'll appreciate if you forget to check oil levels before a long run. That said, the unit weighs just under 250 pounds, so moving it by yourself is a chore. You'll want a small handcart or at least a sturdy dolly if you plan to store it in a garage and haul it out during an emergency. What about the noise? Generators are notorious for being loud, and this one isn't an exception. At a load of about 75%, the sound level hovers around 73 decibels, roughly the noise of a busy street. If you live in a tight neighborhood or have early morning runs, that could be a concern. The factory does include a muffler, but you won't get a whisper-quiet operation. Some users opt to place the unit on a rubber mat or a wooden pallet to dampen the vibration and reduce the acoustic footprint a little, which is a simple workaround if you're sensitive to noise. Who should buy this generator? If you're a homeowner in an area